Excellent. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bristol Town Council meeting of May 28th. If you could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Before we start the regular meeting, we've done this over the last couple of meetings, and we can only do this because we're celebrating the success, outstanding success of some of the students from Bristol Warren. And tonight we're actually going to celebrate a few here. I have three, and we're going to start. I don't know who is here this evening for the gymnastics team. Who's here for the gymnastics team? They started early. We'll give them a second. Of course. Who's here for the gymnastics team? Can you come up to the podium, the clear podium there? Are you Kara?
Yes.
Kara Pisasel. So what we're going to celebrate this evening are three separate achievements here. The first one is the Mount Hope High School gymnastics team. And Kara, I'm going to ask you to walk us through the success run here, but I'm going to take some of your thunder and say congratulations to you being the state champion of the floor exercise. Round of applause for Kara, please. So Kara, on this citation that this council, the administrator and the clerk sign, it talks about your head coach and assistant coach, head coach Nicole Daniello and assistant coach Courtney LaRue. Tell us how you got there and how your team got there, please.
This was our team's first year moving back into D1. We'd been in like D2 and we'd been doing pretty well. And we moved back up and we were pretty competitive in gymnastics in high school. You get like a team score and it's a big deal to break 130 points. And we managed to do that a few times. So that was like our, I guess, best achievement. We missed qualifying for states as a team by like one spot. But I guess it's a goal for next year, and there's a lot of good gymnasts in 8th grade that are gonna like come up and join us. So, yeah, that's
Who's here with you tonight, Kara?
my coach, Miss Daniela, was supposed to be here, but she's sick and she couldn't be here. So
Did you drive yourself here?
no, my dad's
No.
here.
Oh, all right, Dad. Nice job, Dad. So, Council, would you like to share anything?
Well, congratulations, Kara. It takes so much individual achievement, I think, to do all that, but I think I know where the chairman was going with that. You got to call out the parents too, right?
Yes, you do.
Shuttling them back and forth and everything like that. It just takes a lot of dedication from a lot of different people to do those types of things. I know this. I was just over in Warren for a baseball game and rushing over here to get here. And so congratulations to you. And I hope you remember this achievement, and it's profound. And again, congratulations to the parents and coaches as well.
Thank you.
Anything else from the council?
Just want to say your teamwork has made this community very proud of you, and your team and your school very proud. So keep it up. Thank you.
And congratulations on the floor exercise,
Thank
the
you.
win. That's awesome. I love watching that.
Kara, could you come up so I can give you the citation on behalf of the council and the town? Correct. Take a moment so everybody can see it too. Yeah, nice job. So we started doing this again. Of course, please.
If I may, just as a former Division I coach for 24 years, I can appreciate your efforts, being bumped up to Division I and maintain the competitiveness and the skill. That's awesome to hear that. One Hope is back up in Division I. That's awesome. I did soccer, not gymnastics, though.
I want to see that gymnastics.
Well, it takes a lot of gymnastics for soccer as well. Believe me.
So we've had some recent successes in the community, and that's the best way to put that. We had the high school basketball team. We had the swim team recently here, as you just heard with the gymnastics team and Kara's achievements. Next, we are going to recognize Mount Hope High School wrestling team. Who's here for the Mount Hope High School wrestling team? Come on up to the podium if you would. Don't be shy. Come on up. It's okay. And the coaches too, please. Of course. Yeah. It's a humbling experience, right? So, gentlemen, so what I'm looking at here is that this year's several standout athletes demonstrated extraordinary skill and determination, and they include Kyle McCarthy, freshman 144-pound state champion, nice job. And who else? Eli Francis, freshman 126-pound state champion.
Wow.
Arian Ferris, JV 113-pound state champion. And Ben Martell, heavyweight sectionals champion. Outstanding job, gentlemen. You guys introduce yourselves, and if you want to do it or have your coaches do it, you look very uncomfortable, so I'm going to pick you to do it. If you could share the road to success, but first start by introducing yourselves.
Hi, my name is Eli Francis. I was the 126 from Mount Hope.
Nice
And
job.
I think this season we were kind of underlooked as a team because we were all freshmen and sophomores, and we didn't have too many older guys. So everybody like kind of looked past us. And I think honestly, just hard work in the room, like everybody was like pushing each other, and that led for us to come third as a team in the state, which is crazy because we basically won for public schools because we only were behind Hendricken and Pontiac, and they're very good teams. So I think we exceeded our expectations as a team, the young guys.
That's great.
Outstanding. Outstanding. You can move the mic too if it's too low. There you go.
I'm Kyle McCarthy, 144 pounds from Mount Hope. And I think the road to success is having a good coaching staff and teammates there to help you when you're in need. And I think that's we had those coaches and a good room of kids. And I think it really that's why we did so good.
You just made your coach's day. You couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Outstanding job.
Thank
And
you.
Hi, everyone. I'm head coach Ryan Fozzie, and I'm joined by Eric Francis and Dougie Sampson, who are very, very much valuable members of my team. As one of my young wrestlers have stated, that we graduated about 9 seniors last year, so they really looked at this season as a rebuilding year for us. But we actually did better and exceeded expectations again this year. It wasn't with adversity. We had multiple injuries, kids not make it on the team, and I couldn't be prouder of these young men stepping up in the state tournament and getting third place. As they stated, these young men are all homegrown kids. They all grew up in Bristol and Warren. They came through the Bristol and Warren programs. We did not recruit one kid that wasn't from this town, and we did very, very well. So I'm happy for every single one of them, and I promise I'll bring a state title soon, guys.
outstanding.
Now we have that on the record, right?
Yes.
It's on the.
We do have that on the record.
Okay.
And on a side note,
Hold me to it.
I'm very glad that we don't have to introduce each other and say, I'm Nathan Calero, I'm 200. No, I'm not. That would really stink, wouldn't it? Council? Would you like to share anything?
I wish I was 130 pounds. No, I just want to say it's got to be something in the water here. Dedication and teamwork. Again, making your community proud. Thank you so much. We are very, very proud of you. Excellent.
This is really exciting. I don't think people really know the amount of dedication that goes into wrestling of all sports. It's something that I don't think anybody ever thinks about. So congratulations to you, and big ups again to the parents. I see one of the parents is not only a parent, but a coach as well. So you're doing some double duty over there, Eric. But congratulations, guys. It sounds like you are kind of the formation of a very deep bench, and we are really looking forward to some success for this wrestling team in the future.
So we're going to hold you to the fact that there'll be a championship next year. You know, we look forward to that. So, no, congratulations and keep up the great work.
Congratulations. And certainly if you're doing this well as mostly freshmen and sophomores, imagine next year and the year after, you know, it's going to be an awesome team. So
Yeah.
keep up the good work as well, because I think there's a lot of scholarships out there for all sports, but wrestling as well. So.
If you could all come up, I'd like to give this to the coaches, and then if you could stand in front of people and take a couple of pictures, and come on up right now, and we can give you a round of applause too, so.
Congrats, Cole.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Eli.
Good job, the team. Now, what
That's
grade
it. Yeah.
What about you?
Congratulations.
Ninth grade or 10? Oh, wow, you guys are doing awesome. Hey, how are you?
Gotta look at the camera that way.
Come over here, Tim.
All right.
Well, they gotta look tough. Nice job, guys.
We have one more.
Yes, we do.
Strong.
Oh, my goodness, we're not done. No,
But wait, there's more.
We got some strong competitors coming up though.
I know.
It's great.
It's like a Ginsu knife, but wait, there's more. Kickamuit Middle School wrestling team. Who's here for the Kickamuit Middle School? Nobody here?
Well, it's hard to compete with
Nobody's
these guys.
No? Well, we're still gonna recognize them, so we have it and we can make sure that they get it. Kickamuit Middle School wrestling team had Cameron Ferreira, 70 pounds, Matthew Williams, 119 pounds, William Carenti, heavyweight, have all risen to the top and claimed the middle school state championship titles. Isn't that outstanding? So, yeah.
Oh. We have some reinforcements coming on the way. Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Come on up real quick.
Oh, it's Caroline.
Come on all the way up and we'll give it to you, so.
Yes, Mom. So, these guys gonna be able to help out that high school team?
Very great.
Yes. Awesome.
She's the first
Yeah.
one.
Did a great job. this
Yes, you
year.
did. Outstanding.
That's awesome.
Thanks, everyone, for supporting them.
I know.
It's outstanding to see that kind of achievement. Madam Clerk, if we could move.
Sure.
Thanks,
Mr.
everyone.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the first order of business is the consent agenda to approve the consent.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next order of business is the approval of minutes from May 7th, 2025, and the executive session minutes from May 7th.
Motion to approve the previous minutes.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next order of business is public hearings. Are we opening them?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, so this is B1's the public,
oh,
Madam
Ord-
Clerk.
ordinance number 2025-7, zoning, chapter 28, land use laws. And this is also the second reading for adoption as well.
So as the clerk just stated, I'm going to open up the public hearing with conversation. We're going to start with Diane Williamson, our Community Development Director, to give a rundown, and I'm going to start right before you do. This is for the town of Bristol to comply with state law requirements. If you can hear a little derision in my voice, it's because it's there. There's some frustration about some of the things that came over. We are going to move forward with this because we must. Diane's going to take a moment and share those changes, what changed from our ordinances, and obviously what we must do from the state. Diane.
Thank you, Nathan. So I also want to say now, so I don't forget it later, the planning board did review these. They sent a recommendation in support and finding that it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. So as you said, 99% of these are revisions required by state law. There are a couple of also some cleanups that we had to do. If you remember last year, we had to do all the standards for the uses that required special use permits. And a few of those standards still included a requirement for development plan review, which is not the right process now with the revised process. So we had to edit those sections as well for just for cleanup. So I'll kind of start at the top with my list. Accessory dwelling units is probably the big one that now allows accessory dwelling units if you meet several conditions. You have to have a lot of either 20,000 square feet of land, or it has to be in an existing building on your property, or you have a family member with a disability and you're in an owner occupied unit, you can have an ADU by right. We did also add a couple of dimensional requirements for Bristol specifically. One is that the ADUs shall be limited to no more than 2 bedrooms, and then 1 off-street parking space per bedroom is required. So floor area ratio is an edit to the definition of the floor area ratio per state law. Inclusionary zoning, this is a new revised section based on the revised state law. If you might recall, with the last round of zoning edits, the planning board recommended that the inclusionary zoning be eliminated because there were some concerns about the density bonus that was allowed by the state law. The state law has been amended, and now it's a more favorable provision for the density bonus. So the planning board recommended that it be re-included in the zoning. But they also asked that it have a sunset clause, 2 years. So they're going to try it, see how it goes, and then it will, we can revisit it in 2 years and see if we need to amend it. The development plan review, I mentioned that some of that is a cleanup for the special use permit standards. Again, some of the process is different now. Commercial land development is really more, falls in the line of either being a minor land development or a major land development. Development plan review was a process that is really not used in that way. There's 5 specific developments that would trigger development plan review, such as an adaptive reuse or an institutional development like educational use. So we amended that section and clarified that as far as the process. The off-street parking and development plan review, again, that's a process to clean up the authorized permitting authority, which is either the administrative officer or the planning board. We clarified that for the Roger Williams, so land development projects generally, we had to clarify that, again, as I mentioned, there's no more formal development plan review. It's a land development, depending on what you're doing. So we had to just kind of clarify that. And then the land non-conforming by area, that's another interesting one. It revises the dimensional regulations for lots that are non-conforming by area. So it allows you to modify the setbacks and the floor area, the lot coverage based on a percentage of the land. So let's see if I can explain this. So if you have a lot that's non-conforming to the zoning, you're allowed to have a reduction based on a percentage of how much your lot is less than what's required. I'm sorry, I'm tripping over that. But it's another provision to just make it easier to build on lots without needing variances or modifications. So that is also by state law, and it's one of the edits we have to adopt. So unless you have any specific questions, I've kind of given you a rundown of changes.
Please.
Yeah, just some.
I want to, what I'd like to do, certainly if you have a question, but I want to give the public the opportunity because it is a public hearing. I can close the public hearing and then we can get way into the particulars. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on this topic? If you could state your name and address for the record. Normally, we have our town sergeant here, but he's not here tonight. So once you're done speaking, if you could see Eric and he'll write your name and all that
Okay.
down. Thank you.
Elaine White, 11 Constitution Street.
Welcome.
And thank you. I had just spoken with Ed Tanner the other night because I saw the limits within the accessory dwelling units. And one of the questions I asked him was, what if the property is mixed use, owner occupied in the waterfront district? Would that be allowed an accessory dwelling unit? Because it seems like when I was applying originally for the homestead, my building didn't fit into it because it's one of those unusual where I live in the building, but it's mixed use. So I just wanted to bring that up as a point. And Ed said he hadn't thought of that and it didn't seem to be written anywhere. So I wanted to address that somewhere. We could talk about it or maybe just make sure it gets mentioned somewhere. And the other thing is, I think you said it was a state law, Diane, about the percentage being changed for non-conforming lots. My concern with that is that it does give a lot of free rein to builders in creating more density in those small lots. When I think about the historic district, especially, I mean, we're going through that right now with a property, very small cottage, less than 5,000 square feet. It's a non-conforming lot. But because of that new formula, this particular gentleman is allowed to build much differently than he would have been allowed to build. And because it's a state law, I'm guessing we don't have any say in that. I just wanted to address, I can see the potential of problem with that in a density issue. I mean, how much building are we going to allow in these small lots? And if we don't have any control over it right now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I think it's really important that we address it as a community, especially with the rules and regs that happen with the historic district. You know, we have small lots down there, and I'm concerned about that. That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else from the public like to speak on this topic? Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now we can open it up for council question. Aaron?
Oh, yeah, I just had some questions for Diane. I want to preface this, though, by also saying that I know that, you know, from the times that we've spent working on this and everything like that, I know that there's a lot of differences of opinions on how to go about doing these things and everything. I am personally somewhat in support of what's happening at the state level. I hear a lot about affordable housing. We hear a lot as a statewide issue. There's 27,000 units that we're short of affordable housing. And there were a lot of opportunities as a collective state to find some way to address some of these issues. And the 27,000, we're still short the 27,000 units. Is it perfect? No, it's probably not perfect. But one of the things that I think our lawmakers insisted on, and I looked at the meeting minutes, thanks to the clerk's office, from our special workshop that we had with the legislators, that if we have language for them, they want to have the language. And so they're hopefully willing to work with us a little bit on that. And again, I know that there's differences of opinions here. But my hope is that the outcome of some of the things that are happening at the state level are actually going to cause us to have a little bit of relief from demand, development demand and things like that. So if it's maybe happening in other parts of the state, maybe that is a little bit of a release valve here in Bristol. I'm not sure about that. We're going to see what happens. I guess we'll evaluate what happens, and we can always try our best to do adjustments. One of the adjustments that's made that I'll bring to a lot of people's attention here is the inclusionary zoning ordinance. And we were all a little bit disappointed about that, because what ended up happening was we had a state decision that was made, and then we had to pull back our inclusionary zoning ordinance. I don't think anybody here was happy about that. But one of the things that we did see was an adjustment that was made. So there was some evaluation, and the state came back and they decided to make some adjustments so that we could have more agency here at the local level to address this issue by ourselves. So one of the things that I see here is the 15%, any unit that's any new developments, right? New developments that are 5 units or above are going to be required to be 15% affordable. If it's on site, they'll get a density bonus, right? If they have 15% of the units on site, there'll be a density bonus for the developer. But if there's off site, there's no density bonus. So the 15%, no matter what, they're required to have 15%. Whether they choose to have offsite or onsite is going to be the decision that they make, correct? Or is that at the sole discretion of the planning board?
I need to just refresh on that. If you recall, that was one of the reasons why the planning board recommended that the prior zoning be rescinded, because it was at the developer's discretion. And I'm sorry, I don't recall how the new state law addresses that.
Well, or I think our new ordinance, though, addresses it where we say that it's at the sole discretion of
Yes, you're
the
right.
of the planning board,
Yes, you're
whether or not they do on-site or off-site for the 15.
You're correct.
Okay.
The planning board at its sole discretion may allow an applicant to comply with the inclusionary by constructing units on a site other than the project site, correct?
Okay, so the other question I have, and this might require you to dig into that state statute again, was the 15%. Is that the 15% set by state law, or can we go above and beyond that if at some future point we would choose to do that? Or would we have to go to the state and say, we want you to go up from 15% to 20% in the state statute?
I'd have to check the
Okay,
statute.
okay, that's fine. We can continue this offline. It's probably more of a technical question, but I think it does raise kind of the point that there has been some adjustments made, and this is a lot better than what we had before. If anybody here recalls that inclusionary
And so,
zoning ordinance that we had to pull.
Yeah, just to address that question, so it says for all applicable projects, at least 15% of the lots must qualify as affordable housing.
Okay,
So it sounds to me like by that language, the planning board could negotiate a higher
okay,
percentage of affordable.
okay. Thank you. It's good to know that. Thank you. Is that floor?
It's a
Okay,
floor, yeah.
okay. Well, I think the other thing that I think is worth bringing up is that we, in our inclusionary zoning ordinance last time, we had 20%. And so we are doing the bare minimum that state law requires. And so if we wanted to make that adjustment to 20% at some future time, then perhaps we could do something like that.
All right.
I have a couple of questions. So, some of the concerns that Elaine raised, I definitely have the same concerns, especially in downtown. But one of the things I think that's sort of interesting is the idea of having one parking space per bedroom. So you're limited to 2 bedrooms. Why would you have not have one parking space per ADU? And then where is there relief? So there's property downtown that has space for an ADU, but they don't even have parking for their main residence. And how is that going to be addressed?
So it would be a variance. They'd have to get a variance from the zoning board.
Okay. Okay, and I think that was my main question for that. I think one of the concerns I have about this whole thing, and I've said it when the legislators were here as well, this is the kind of thing that we have to do. We don't know if it's going to create much, some of the housing we need. I think this will be somewhat of a remedy, but it's not going to solve the problem of housing and homelessness in Rhode Island. And we all have to comply. But I am worried about it, no one's going to see the ramifications of this for a good 3 to 5 years or more. And you're going to be looking back and saying, how could this be allowed? And it really is disturbing. And, I think the intention may be good, but I'm not sure it's solving the problem. And the other thing that I had referenced when the legislators were here, one thing I don't see is financial incentive. So if you have ability to make an apartment in your house, I'm not even talking about an ADU, but just an apartment, like there's no place you can go to get financial, like, oh, incentive to do it. Instead there's like more and more and more restrictions on, lead and everything else. So I think that in some ways are defeating themselves and during the same purpose. So if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to say what I'm going to do on the vote here. So like, you don't have to call on me again. I'm going to abstain on this vote because I think that this is maybe the best, and there's some stuff that's relevant to Bristol. And it's not that I oppose like ADUs or anything like that. I just don't think it's right that all of this is took place without much consultation of the cities and towns. And we know that's the case. I mean, just recently we keep referencing a meeting with the legislators. Well, a year or so ago when this first started, or maybe 2 years ago, there was no communication on this issue. And so now everybody's running around trying to fix the process and the project. And I just think it's of concern because, we try to make as a council, as a planning board, a zoning board, the best decisions we can. We try to provide a community that has open space balanced with the need for housing and so forth. Very difficult in a town like this where there's a university and, very desirable waterfront, et cetera. And yet, as much as we've tried to maintain some balance, the state has just stepped in and said, this is the way it's going to be. And it's cookie cutter. It's this way for Bristol, as it is for West Warwick, as it is for every single city and town in the state, without any regard to where we all are. So that's why I'm going to vote that way, just as my own little protest. But I do appreciate the work that you have put into this, Diane. And I just hope that we're not looking back in a few years, just going like, what the heck happened? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Of course.
I hear you, Mary. Yeah, and obviously I had some opposition to many of the things that they've done, and not realizing what the impact is, and especially when they've served as counselors in the various municipalities, and suddenly they've forgotten the imposition and the impact that these ordinances or these laws actually have. There's no doubt about it. I concur with you. However, I think we're in a situation that not a whole lot we can do at this level now. So in the best interest, to keep the planning zoning making their decisions as needed, I'm going to vote in favor.
Yeah, Diane, thank you for your hard work on this. I
Yes.
think my major concern is, and you've heard me before, is the major flooding and stormwater issues that this is going to cause. I mean, we're increasing density. Yeah, we are helping with housing and everything else, but what is that going to do to the neighbors in Bristol and the stormwater aging system that we have? So for me, the big concern is that the more we build, what are we going to do with all that water? And how is that going to affect us on a larger level? So other than that, I mean, we're voting for it, but due to the state requirements, but those are my biggest concerns. But you've heard those, and I know. What can we do? Yep.
So I asked the solicitor before we started, I said, so say the council doesn't move forward on this, it's going to happen anyway. So the point of this conversation and discussion this evening is obviously we have to be in compliance with the state law. We will be. That being said, Bristol takes an inordinate amount of time with zoning and then zoning refinement. If you live on Constitution Street, the requirements there are much different than on Narrows, than on Kickamuit, than on Cliff, than on Gibson, and I can keep going and going. Our zoning will split a road in half. Some will have an R5, meaning a 5,000 square foot lot, and on the other side, you can have an R20. That's how zoning is supposed to work. It is supposed to be unique to a community. Mary rightly pointed out that this is a cookie cutter response. Now, I think it's worth it to say that every single one of these council people, including me, believe in affordable housing. We need more housing. That doesn't mean that this is the only answer. So I think it's super important that for myself, and it sounds like my colleagues too, is that we're going to move forward with this because we must. The ramifications of this, of flooding, as Tim pointed out, of your neighbor, a new neighbor, probably a very nice person, built a home, they didn't build it, somebody else built it, went through all the correct processes, and now you're negatively affected by that. And state law says it's okay, and that's frustrating, and Can it happen even with our best zoning if the state didn't get involved? Of course it can. But the likelihood is much, much less because we micro, not macro. So it was worth taking a moment to share that and our frustration. We've had conversations with our legislators and we are here now. This will allow, we're going to come close to hitting the 10% requirement with a lot of changes that happen. That, Mr. Solicitor, you pointed out when we were speaking about it earlier, that 10% allows us to do, again,
So once we hit that level, now along with the inclusionary zoning provisions, assuming this gets adopted this evening, once you hit the 10%, you will be able to turn down comprehensive permits.
and just since we're explaining it,
The comprehensive permit allows the developer to come in and basically override your zoning ordinance in terms of where they can build, in which zone, density, et cetera. It's something that any community wants to avoid, and it'll help us get there faster.
okay. Any other conversation from the council?
I make the motion that we adopt the proposed ordinance.
And Tony, can I just ask that in connection with the adoption, that you find that the amendments are consistent with your comprehensive plan as set forth by the planning board's recommendation?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Thank you.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Aaron, as stated. Discussion? I don't think we said thank you to the planning board, so officially
Thank
thank you for their efforts.
Thank you.
And thanks, Diane, if
And
I didn't
thanks,
say it.
And a
Yeah.
big thank you also
Thank you.
to Amy Goins from Mike's office. She did a lot of the heavy lifting on this, so
Yeah.
it was nice to have them helping us with it.
There was a lot of striking and a lot of rewriting.
Yeah.
Lots of it. Yes.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we have 4 in favor, 1 abstention.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Diane.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is C1, Ordinance 2025-3, Chapter 17, Article 2, Alcoholic Beverage Establishments, Section 17-82, to decrease the number of limited BV licenses from 8 to 7. This is the second reading.
Motion to approve second reading?
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. We have a few that we took action on at the last meeting, but they required to be re-advertised or advertised more thoroughly. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Members of the council, we have C2, ordinance number 2025-04, Chapter 17, Article 2, Alcoholic Beverage Establishments, Section 17-82, number of licenses, to increase the number of Class BV licenses from 32 to 33.
Motion to approve second reading?
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, we have C3, ordinance number 2025-05, Chapter 16, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Article 5, Stopping, Standing, and Parking, a no parking box located across from 28 Shaw's Lane. This is the second reading.
I make a motion that we adopt or approve a second reading.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary, as stated. Any discussion? If you're sitting out there thinking, oh my God, why don't I go to more council meetings? This is so interesting. So will we. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks.
Next item on the agenda is C4, ordinance number 2025-06, Chapter 16, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Residential Parking, Section 16-343, Designated Residential Parking Zone, and Section 16-345, Designated Residential Parking Streets, to include portions of Hope Street to the residential zone and update designated residential parking zones. This is the second reading.
Motion to approve second reading?
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, as stated. Any discussion?
We
I just
could
wanted
make
to
this
just make
interesting.
one thing, and
She's
that
gonna
is-
make it interesting. There we
Huh?
go.
Go ahead.
I said we could make this interesting, but
No, no,
Mary,
it was
go
just-
ahead.
It was just a comment. A couple of weekends ago, I saw this couple walking down from Mount Hope. And it looked like, I knew they had bags, they had not, backpack, they had like a nice Vera Bradley, they had grocery bags with them. I thought, aha, they found a parking space and they're walking down to the ferry. So hopefully we've encompassed all the areas that we've talked about all of these years, and we're all set, and maybe their little secret spot, they'll keep it. I don't know.
I hope so, Mary. I hope so.
Did you want to add anything though?
No.
No? I will, and just say that obviously I'm joking. I believe that things like this are very much like a furnace or a roof. When they work well, you don't notice them. When they don't work well, my goodness, you notice them. So it's really important. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, next is ordinance number 2025-08, Chapter 8, Section 72, Independence Park Boat Ramp. This is for vehicle load restrictions. There is a revision to include Section C, and this is the second reading.
I make a motion that we approve it and include section C.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim, as stated. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D1, Stephen Brigani on behalf of the Bristol Middle Passage Port Market Project. He's requesting a one-day dancing and entertainment license on August 24th from 2 to 6 with a setup time at 10 o'clock at Independence Park for the unveiling of the sculptures.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Thank you for having me.
Evening.
If I may, just very, very briefly change hats for a minute. As the town rep to Discover Newport, I want to thank you for the citation you issued recently to Evan Smith, also to our town administrator. Thank you, Steve. I did deliver it to him. He was very, very grateful, as am I, for his years of service, the tourism in our area. And at some point, I hope to introduce our new CEO of Discover Newport, Victoria Chimino. So I'll make arrangements for that at a certain point. But I'm here tonight to talk about the dedication of the Bristol Memorial sculpture that we've been working on for several years. The date is August 24th. As Carl explained, we've got some times designated. We actually believe that our speaking program will begin around 3 o'clock and be finished by about 4:30. I also want to introduce Charlie Edwards, who's a board member, has been working on this with us. He's a resident of the town of Warren nearby. So Charlie and I happy to respond to any questions or issues.
I'll hold that against you, Charlie. It's okay.
We do have a speaking program that will consist of several board members addressing the public, talking about the memorial itself, talking about the history of slavery in our town. And we also will be featuring a guest speaker, Professor Anthony Bogues from the Simmons Center at Brown University. He will be speaking about the history of slavery throughout Rhode Island. We will we're hoping to have Ann Chin and Ann Cobb from the national chapter of Middle Passage with us. It'll be very special to have them here in the town of Bristol. Regarding entertainment and things of that nature, our very close friends, the Pokanoket tribe, will be participating in a brief ceremony of chanting and drumming. They won't require any amplification. We will have a PA system for the speakers, of course. So that would be part of the music itself. We are also anticipating, though I haven't got complete confirmation yet, the Mixed Magic Theater group, their choral, and that they have a choir of 30 people. We're going to have it for 6. That's what we're interested in, just having some songs of African nature, put it that way. I haven't seen the repertoire, but that's what we're planning. As I did state in the petition, this is an alcohol-free event. We will have some refreshments of water and probably beehive cookies. So we would be honored to have all of you present on the August 24th date. And so we will extend an invitation to all our residents. We'll do some publicity around that. And we will be setting up a tent. Of course, we'll comply with code restrictions. These are experienced tent people. And whatever's required, we'll take care of. We're grateful also to Warren and Parks and Recreation for accommodating us on that day. I know there's an event prior to that. We're anticipating everything will be cleaned up and ready for us. The tent will be set up a little bit earlier in the morning, and our program will begin at 3 o'clock. You'll be hearing a little bit more about it as we formalize the actual program itself. And of course, Spencer Evans, the artist you met, I think certainly a little over a year ago or so here at this one of our meetings. He will be presenting and unveiling the sculpture itself. So again,
Excellent.
thank you, and I hope you'll allow us to have our dedication ceremony as we plan.
Thanks, Steve.
Mr. Chairman, based on the positive recommendations, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Any discussion?
I just want to say, this is a really key milestone for you guys. We've been on your journey the whole way, but this is really a community cultural journey, and it's a really
Exactly.
proud key milestone for you guys because it's it really symbolizes our kind of journey through history, but also it celebrates public art. And so it's going to be, I think, a wonderful event, and looking forward to being there. So congratulations.
Thank you, Tim. Long time coming.
No, so do I. I look forward. Yep. Yep. I look forward to the event myself.
Yeah, I think,
Any other discussion from the council?
yeah, I just wanted to say, like, it's come up kind of quickly. I mean, it's being done, doesn't seem like it was that long ago. And I give you a lot of credit, Steve, you and your group to be able to raise the money, to come up with the idea, to get it all the approvals that you needed.
Yeah.
And to, raise the money to be able to do the sculpture. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. We're a little shy, but we'll be there. The foundry is casting it in bronze. They're already starting. It's been disassembled, the figures, and bring back together. I think you'll really find them outstanding when you see it all together.
Any other discussion from the council? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D2, Arts in Common for Porch Fest 2025. They're requesting a one-day dancing and entertainment license and street closure of a 6-block section of High Street from Wally to Byfield Streets for Sunday, September 14th from 2:30 to 6:30.
Council?
Like,
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Based on the recommendations, I make a motion that we approve it. And obviously, it's been very successful. It's right nearby. I don't have to go too far to get to it. Just walk down the street and there I am. Actually, I didn't even I would not need to leave my yard to listen to the music, actually. But either way, make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony,
Mayor.
seconded by Tim to approve. Any discussion? Is anybody here from Porch Fest?
Mr. Chairman, they actually are, all of them are traveling, so they weren't going to be able to make it. But yeah,
I just wanted to point
for
out.
Porch Fest,
and I,
yeah, Mary Kay and Nancy couldn't make it. Yeah.
I just wanted to point out the EMS arrangements that they're making this year to have, I think it's like they do the 4th of July, putting some EMS members in like a cart throughout the area because they said it was difficult last year. So I appreciative to the Porch Fest people and the administrator and certainly the fire chief for bringing that issue up because it seems like a good solution for it. I didn't even, as much as we talk about safety and security, and I've gone to that event, I've not really, didn't really think about that because there's so many side streets and ways in, but that's like a really good point that was raised. I think they had an issue last year getting through. So I just want to commend them for coming up with that solution.
So Mary, I think it was outstanding that you pointed out there's so much that goes into an event that seems like nothing goes into. And DPW, EMS, police department, and we always forget water pollution. They are also part of it in hands-on approach to things. There are so many people involved, and these recommendations come to the council. My colleagues and I take a lot of time to go through the agenda, and we look at these things to make sure that it was well thought out, and we'll have questions. Sometimes you'll see these things move very quickly because they were very well thought out, just like this one was. And those recommendations mean a lot to this council and keeping things safe. Chief, did you want to add something to that?
In our petition, we noted that, can you hear me? It doesn't sound
Yes.
like it's coming through.
The sound is a little, the volume is a little low this evening.
In our petition, we request that they coordinate with the police department for road closure, police details. And we work obviously in concert with the Bristol Fire Department, road closures and rescue runs and notifying the community social media of road closures is also important. So if the petitioner could contact Bristol Police, we've worked very well with them in the past on an excellent operations and traffic plan.
Those words will go with the approval. Any other discussion?
No, actually, I see the Director of Public Works here. I know they provide the horses, no hay, but just the horses. And, to block the streets. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D3. Harbor Master Marsili, Chairman of the Harbor Festival Committee. He's requesting a one-day dancing and entertainment license at Rockwell Park for the 12th Annual Harbor Festival on August 16th from 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
So before we discuss this, if I could get a motion from the council to combine this agenda item with F3, which is also part about this.
Second.
Motion made by Mary, seconded by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll need two separate motions for this, but Greg?
Good evening. 12th Annual Harbor Festival, very successful. It took us a long time to buy the trash skimmer, but that's coming soon. All the money we raise continue. We support the kids in the waterfront development. We did the playground a couple years ago. We're working on a fishing day for kids, supplying with fishing poles and stuff from last year's raising of funds. We're going to sponsor some kids for Save the Bay Camp this year and look into the future of doing a 1-week fishing camp out of the Maritime Center. So this is what we're doing. Same setup as last year, Blessed and Fleet, 1 o'clock. Great food the entire day. Some good music from local musicians, beer, wine. It's been very successful. It's a great community event.
I make a motion that we approve it.
So second. So this motion and second is to approve the one-day dancing and entertainment license. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then we need a second motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve. That's for the liquor license.
That's right, the one day. Yep.
I make a
I'll
motion
second.
we approve that.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim as stated. Any discussion?
Just briefly, it was actually on the previous one, as long as we have watermelon and corn, right?
We don't forget the watermelon. One
And our
time.
stuffies
One
and
time.
everything else.
And just a reminder,
Greg, that stuffy competition, is that happening?
Stuff competitions happen. Remember last year we had 18 entrants.
I know, that was a
All right,
lot.
Mary, you're
There was a
on.
lot of stuffies last
Mary,
year.
you're on.
We're all ready to roll.
Yeah, don't eat that morning.
Greg, just because I'm not from Rhode Island doesn't mean I can't judge a stuffy, okay?
It's almost like first come, first serve
Tim and I
anymore
have
for
done,
judges.
and but other people too.
so just to remind everybody, this is the Harbor Festival at Rockwell Park, downtown on Thames Street, and this is on August 16th from 1 to 8.
1 to 8.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Greg.
you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D4. Jennifer Devine, 55 Wapping Drive for a pro-democracy rally, request for one-day dancing and entertainment license at Independence Park, June 29th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good, how are
Good
you? If you
evening.
could state your, actually, your name is on the petition.
I know
so-
I'm Jennifer
yes.
Devine. You
Yes.
guys know me as
Yes.
another name. That's fine. So I wanted to do actually, I wanted to do a march and a protest on June 14th, but that wasn't going to work. So after speaking with Warren Rensenhausen, hopefully I didn't butcher your name, I found out the proper way to petition to do a protest is negative, in my opinion. This is a rally for democracy. Just bring the community together in the spirit of dissent from what's going on with our federal government right now. And we picked the 29th because it was available, A, and B, because it is before our celebration of the birth of our country and the Declaration of Independence, right? We, as a nation, declared independence from a tyrant. And I feel like we're 250 years later, we're back at that spot. This would be a very peaceful celebration of our freedoms, and speaking out against prohibiting that. Because right now I feel like we as a people in this nation are under attack for expressing for freedom of speech, for standing up for the little guy, for everything really right now. Bill Bullard's here, and some people from some groups that I'm a part of, that they're informal, but people are rising up and coming together because we're upset. We want to do something and just oppose what's going on right now. So Bill nicely wrote up the purpose is an opportunity for people to come together as a community in the spirit of peaceful protest and resistance to our own federal government's efforts to erode the democracy that underpins our republic. We chose the 29th, A, because it was available, B, because it's right before the 4th, because this town celebrates, we have the oldest Independence Day celebration. We're not independent anymore. That's how I feel. I know that's how a lot of people feel. And our freedoms and liberty are under attack. So we just want to say, hey, like, think about this. This is a problem. Again, peaceful, very peaceful. I read Sergeant Captain St. Pierre's recommendation for police and whatnot. I don't know how big this would be. I know my group might come, like 50 people, live music, people singing songs and speaking. I think we're going to have some veterans reaffirm their oath to the Constitution. We're going to honor veterans. We might have some tables with some information about how to get involved and be active. And they can come and hang out, blankets, chairs, listen to what we have to say. We're not looking to antagonize or make any problems. I know it's a busy weekend. It's not going to be anything like the Bristol 4th concerts down there at Independence Park. It's going to be, I anticipate maybe a few more people than normal. Let's see, what else?
Jennifer, a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
So what's being proposed, what you're requesting from the council is 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yes.
And that's set up and takedown time included with that. Is that right?
Yeah, well, 11 to 12 setting up. And I don't know how long this will last. We have a 3 or 4 bands, for lack of a better word, that want to perform. And we have several people that want to do a speech less than 10 minutes each. So I'm thinking 12 to 3, we have the event, and then 3 to 4, we break down.
In regards to the amount of people, I know that you've said that you're not sure how many, part of what our approval process would be to get an idea. Now, certainly you read it sounds like you did, the recommendation from the
Yep.
police department. And that's based off what they captured. And Chief, I don't want to speak for the police department. You can. Based off the information that was shared. If we were to get a gut check idea, what do you think it would be?
100.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you aware of the cost of the
I saw
detail
that, yeah.
officers, a vehicle? Are
Yeah,
you,
that-
where,
Again,
do you have funding? Or
I don't
I'm-
feel that we need to close roads, have police help cross the street. I really don't. If there's someone that patrols that area routinely on a weekend, that would be fine. I hope that this wouldn't incite some opposition to come and cause trouble.
Mhm.
And we, like, most of us know what to do if that happens. We don't engage, sit down, put our stuff down and just don't engage so that the people that are antagonizing are identified. I'm hoping nobody is in the mood for that week or that day.
I apologize, but I think what I was trying to say is that do you have money to afford the
No.
cost of the detail officers and
No, we
the
don't.
core? Okay.
So,
Okay.
so we would have to raise money or make donations. And there are some people willing to do that.
Yeah, and that's never been a precondition for approval, that we know that somebody in advance has the money. Or
No,
not.
no,
Yeah,
it just needs to be
okay.
taken care of.
Yeah, we just want her to
It
be
it
aware
needs
of
to be
it.
satisfied would be a nice way to say it, I guess. So,
Yeah. Jen, based on the literature, the information that was provided,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I know the number, you know, the question was asked, how many people may be there? However, I know you don't know.
Right.
But based on the literature and the information was provided to us for our packet, I came up with approximately 400 people.
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing, but I can't imagine. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when we have meetings just to talk about stuff or to how to engage, it's the same people and it's usually anywhere from 2 to like 10. So that's why I don't know.
Right.
You know, I mean, yes, we will spread the word a bit through our networks, like, but I honestly don't know how many people. And 400, that would, like I said, that would be amazing, but
Mhm.
I can't imagine that many, honestly.
Although with social media nowadays,
I know,
you
but
you know how
I
quickly
just-
people
There are
gather.
a lot of people that are like,
Yeah.
nah, like, you know, it's the Sunday before the 4th.
Right.
So to me, it's like, and it's Bristol, like we kind of are in our own little bubble, access wise. So I just don't, I
Okay.
think there will be people that come, maybe from out of town, but I can't see 400. I would be gobsmacked if there were 400 people that came to
Right,
this.
right. No, understanding.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that we have to be, you know, given all the discussion we've had about the concerts and everything down at Independence Park and all the crowds. I mean, we have to be prepared for anything.
Mhm.
And so especially that day, it's sort of like a double-edged sword. Like in one hand, there's so many other things going on in town that you may not get a lot of people, but then there's also a lot of other people in town
Mhm.
that who really knows. So we have to be, you know, make sure that everybody's safe and that we have everything planned out the best that we can, given what you're expecting
Mhm.
to do. And so.
hope for the best, plan for the worst, right? Chief, your numbers are based off of did Tony capture that assessment?
Her organization.
Yes, I would like to thank the petitioner for working with the police department. You know, she reached out, spoke to Captain St. Pierre. Originally, as she stated, it was supposed to be something along the lines of a march, maybe coming out of Colt Park like it was in 2019, but then it changed to, an esoteric location, at Independence Park. And the 400, up to 400 people was discussed, with Captain St. Pierre. And, we certainly just don't have a crystal ball to look into the magnitude, of the crowd size. So I think that the cost is high, but it's fair to say that, I didn't require 10, 12 police officers like
Yeah.
you see in the capital city, at any of these types of events. 2 police officers, I don't think is unreasonable for an event that, is kind of, a unique situation. We don't have any, this isn't an annual event, and I really don't know what the event will bring.
Thank you, Chief.
And Chief, due to those possible vehicle delays, pedestrian issues, I mean, the detail officers would be vital to making sure this is a success.
Yeah.
So,
I heard of a road closure, and the Bristol Police Department is not planning on closing the road.
Yeah.
That wasn't in. I know
Good.
she mentioned that, but we do not have that in our plan if folks are watching from home concerned that the road's going to be closed.
So.
Chairman,
With
based on,
positive
oh,
rec-
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I
It
was
sounds
just
like
going to
we have
say,
some- yeah.
Chairman, based on the recommendations, make a motion to approve, but it would be to have police detail officers and the vehicle.
So following the
and what
recommendations.
Fee said would go along with it. Just to make sure that everyone is safe.
I'll
That
second.
that is why I'm making sure that's stipulated in my motion. I don't know if anybody wants to amend it, but
No, I'll second that.
okay.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, as stated. Any other discussion?
No, good luck.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good luck.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D5, George Morano.
Wait.
What were you?
I put my name on the list to speak in support.
Was there, I'm sorry, it was,
I didn't have anybody on that list, no.
okay.
Nobody contacted me.
Okay, we'll call it a,
I thought it was to be done this evening, as I've done in the past. I put my name on the list to speak,
Okay.
and I just did that this evening.
Okay.
if you want to share your quick thoughts,
I
please.
will.
And please
It
state
will-
your name
it
and
will be
address for the
very
record.
quick. Sure. Good evening. I'm Linda Rhoda, presently from 30 Bradford Street. Having lived in another spot in this great town for coming up on 58 years. In 1998, after starting and adding a local business to Bristol's merchant scene in 1996, I observed in another town, in a bathroom in that business, a 12 by 36-inch colorful poster on a bathroom wall. And it was entitled, How to Build a Community. It was done in 1998 by a group called the Syracuse Cultural Workers. And over time, I gifted this particular poster to various persons and organizations, always in the hope that all 45 suggestions on this poster could become realities in building our community. Well, 45 suggestions tonight are just far too numerous to share. However, in support of this group of a cross-section of ages of people, I wish to cite some of those suggestions that are in support of their request being made of you people tonight for the initiative of this group. There are only 8 of the 45. On that poster, to build a community, it recommends organize a dance block party, share what you have with others, know your neighbors, ask questions, ask for help when you need it, seek to encourage understanding, and know that no one is silent, though there are many who are never heard. So I support this effort by this group. It is democracy. It's at Independence Park. And to this minute, we have that valuable gift to speak peacefully, without haranguing, and to share our feelings and our understanding of where we are in this somewhat tumultuous world. Thank you.
Thank you.
you for your vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
My apologies. I didn't know. wanted to speak. So we're on D5, George Morano LLC, doing business as Don Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, 200 Gooding Avenue. He's requesting modification to his BV intoxicating beverage license to expand alcohol service area to include outdoor seating. And this is also a call for public hearing for June 18th.
I make a motion that we set a public hearing for June 18th.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I'm not sure if he's here, if he is not to expect anything else at this point.
You had to sit through all of that. I'm so sorry. Yeah, no. So the next step is we'll have a public hearing on June 18th for you. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D6, Richard Correnti, WKOC LLC, doing business as Portside Tavern, 444 Thames Street. It's requesting for modification to BV intoxicating beverage license to expand alcohol service area to add a portion of the outdoor seating area. And this is also a call for public hearing on June 18th.
I make a motion that we set a public hearing for June 18th.
Second. Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is license renewals. E1, sidewalk and alcohol use license renewals for 2025 and 2026.
Based on the positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Members of the council, the next item on the agenda is E2, sidewalk use license renewals for 2025 and 2026.
Based on the positive recommendations, I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is E3, Jennifer Medina from Carvello Group LLC, doing business as Pisco y Tequila, 382 Thames Street. This is a 6-month review of their dancing and entertainment license.
Can
Do
you
it for here? Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
So this is just a review that I had asked for you to consider 6 months ago. Since then, we've had entertainment. It was just a soloist, a guitarist that would just go in on a Friday or Saturday, just a couple hours. It has been helping the business, so I'm just asking if you could extend and let us continue with the dancing and entertainment license.
Chief, no issues, correct?
No issues. I'm very familiar with the Medina family. They run a outstanding operation.
Wow.
Right.
How about that, huh?
Well, you for a
I didn't
commercial
think
right
about
there. So, good job.
Well, based on that recommendation, I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
No free margaritas. Right?
We'll get one for you.
Yeah, you set yourself up for that one. All right, so we had a motion. Is there a second?
Yes.
Second. Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary. Any other discussion?
5-star review on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, could you follow me around with those kind of recommendations? Oh, that's good stuff. Good stuff.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is petitions. F1, George votes at 17 Shore Road, consideration for restrictions on gas-powered leaf blowers.
Is George here? No. Okay. So what's in front of this council is a request, as the clerk pointed out, to restrict some usage, not completely do away with, but restrict some usage of gas-powered leaf blowers. I'm not the petitioner, so I'm not going to read all of this out. Council got a lot of information in regards to this. And I will open it up to conversation from the council first.
Mr. Chairman, I actually make a motion that we deny this petition.
Is there a second for discussion?
I'll second it for discussion.
Discussion.
Yeah, so,
There's no discussion.
So my major concern with this is not that I'm all about the environmental protection and making sure people are healthy with using lawnmowers and leaf blowers and everything else. My biggest concern with this is I don't think we've done enough research on the economic impact of what it would have on those small businesses that are out there in town, what it would take for them to switch. There's just, for me, not enough information yet to be in prime time. So at this point of where it is, at this point, I can't move forward with it. So that's where I feel on it, just to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information here, and I think the one thing that's missing from a lot of this is kind of what the landscaping community might think about it. I think, you know, certainly I recognize that, you know, gas powered engines and like especially, you know, small engines and things like that do produce this kind of like fine particulate matter. And I'm very familiar with fine particulate matter and how dangerous it is. I also know that our town is profoundly like, there's some areas of town that don't require a lot of lawn care, some that do. Like I live in a community, I know the administrator lives in that same community where there's very massive lots. And it does seem like a little bit of a broad brush here with this particular one. But yeah, certainly I think that some voices weren't represented in this. I don't know how it's possible to really move forward when they're not, when that's not there, you know?
And I probably should have clarified things a little bit more as to why I made the motion. I did receive calls from 3 different small businesses in town. They said, so what are we going to do next? You know, what is the impact? And I think that's what concerned me. That's one. I do live in a neighborhood that I have landscapers that come to just about every household except for mine. I do my own, but it has not been an issue. They've been very respectful. In fact, they used vacs quite often to pick up the debris, you know, the leaves as well as the grass trimmings. I don't see them blowing down the street. They've been very respectful. So I'm not seeing this as a major issue. I don't think there is many communities in the state that have adopted this particular ordinance. If I can recall, I don't
think there's any.
don't recall any. So if anybody knows that, please let me know. Yes.
Not in the state of Rhode Island, but certainly.
Can you come up to the, is that, you didn't know you were going to speak, did you?
Yeah, I was a little late. I'm George Votis.
Oh.
And I apologize for being late. Yeah, so I introduced this ordinance really for the benefit of all people in Bristol and all wildlife and the natural world. I did it out of love, and I did it out of compassion for what I believe and what the data shows to be overwhelming concern for these insidious machines. It's not the landscapers. It's not the small businesses. It's this one particular machine that is causing 90% of the issue. So the question was raised about, yeah, there is one electric landscaper in Westerly, Rhode Island, Glenn Graves, but there are no others in Rhode Island. And but in all neighboring states, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, yeah, there are plenty of towns and cities who have made the transition successfully. So, I mean, I'm way too familiar with the subject. Been researching it and evangelizing it and advocating for it for about 7 years.
And it's really interesting when you survey residents, and I think that that could be something that the town of Bristol we could partner on, is to get some more input from the community on this subject, so that you're not just listening to me or a couple, three landscapers, small businesses, but you're hearing it
Be helpful.
directly from the town.
Yeah.
Because what you'll find is that nationally, when this is done in small villages, in towns, in cities, in counties and states, that between 60 and 80% of the population wants to see these retired. And I suspect in Bristol, it'll be about the same. So I'm not here to put any small businesses out of business, but I wanted to take the time to provide the town council with the research that I've done and the interactions I've had with towns, cities, states across the country, and with landscapers across the country, on how successful their business is by offering solutions to the gas power leaf blower. There is an amazing business opportunity for businesses in Rhode Island, and that's Bristol as well, to offer alternatives to the gas power leaf blower. And my last comment on this that I put in the proposal was that I'm not advocating for a ban on the leaf blowers. I'm simply saying, from the time when the leaf litter is cleaned up in the spring until the time it needs to be cleaned up in the fall, that period of time, you don't need a sledgehammer. You only need a electric power handheld blower to blow away some of the grass clippings or some of the few leaves that are out there on the properties. But what's happening is the landscapers are creatures of habit. They're used to doing this. They start up these big, immensely powerful machines that were designed for agricultural aeration of fertilizer, and they blow the living hell out of everything in sight. It's just normal practice, but there's really nothing else to blow. So my main point here was to put this on the table for the community to consider in the future, to have a seasonal restriction on the gas power leaf blower during the warm summer months when we simply don't need those in our communities. It's not to take them away during the heavy leaf litter of the spring and fall, and for the landscapers to be able to have both options available. So principally, that was what I wanted to talk about. But for any additional information, I'm happy to come back. And I did meet with the Conservation Committee twice on this subject, and they had interest in it. It didn't go any further, but I tried to do my homework with that organization, with that committee, just to let them know what was out there. So any further questions, let me know.
I just have a quick comment.
Yes,
And,
ma'am.
I think I've heard this discussed over, on talk radio from time to time in Rhode Island, in general, about this topic. And I think there's, I don't have any doubt that maybe for homeowners and stuff like that, that the electric would be enough. But I don't know about for the landscaping, and I agree with my colleague who said that we don't have input from them. It would have to be more than this. And how we could phase them out eventually, whatever. But I will say, I do give you credit for not coming into the council with an outright ban.
No.
But, sort of put restrictions on certain things. So I do appreciate that aspect of this. I just wanted to say that. I was going to say it before you even got up here. So, I mean, I
really
think
appreciate that.
that's good, yeah.
I mean, I'm a mechanical engineer, so I know a little bit about technology. And I can tell you, for the thousands of electric lawn care companies across the country, they're doing just fine. And I don't have to, try to profess that I'm not the expert when it comes to electric lawn care, but the reams of information that's out there in the public, and one in particular that's right next to us, just outside of Providence in Attleboro, has been doing this for 14 years on up to 30 acres of property, and his business is soaring. And the feedback he gets is that customers really appreciate the fact that offers this type of service. So again, I think there's a golden business opportunity. And if I was 20 years younger, I'd jump into it full lock, stock and barrel to offer, alternative services. But I can tell you from my research that it's not going to happen unless towns and cities take some proactive behavior and get the ball rolling. No one is going to do this out of the goodness of their heart, even though the operating electric powered leaf blower is 13 times more cost effective than gasoline. So there's so many benefits of it. But again, I hope I made you guys a little bit more aware of the subject and tried to educate the town council that this can be done successfully. And I would say 60 to 80% of Bristol population would vote in favor of something like this.
George, can I ask you a question quick about, Mary's right. You had a variety of different solutions that you proposed,
Yeah.
and there really wasn't any outright ban. They kind of range from a seasonal, kind of a window where you can do that, which I've seen with other types of activities that produce fine particulate matter. And then other things like limiting hours and things like that, which I think we essentially have with our noise ordinances and everything like that already. But it seems like there's still potential that if you wanted to work with the Conservation Commission just on educating people, like maybe if there's like a residential homeowner that owns these or something like that, to get the word out there that that there might be some health issues and stuff like that, or if there's people in your house that have heart disease or asthma or anything like that, it could have an impact if you're using it a little bit close to home on your own on your own properties and everything like that. That could be enough to build a little bit of education about it and things like that. I think that there's others that will obviously feel a lot differently about any type. Again, there's no ban. You're not suggesting a ban,
No,
but
it's a reasonable measure. It's a measured step, and my objective is not to ban them someday in the future. It's simply in those months where you don't have leaf litter. It's like taking a sledgehammer out and putting a picture up on the wall. It's ridiculous to use these high powered, high polluting noise, and the health issues with noise and emissions from these is off the charts. I mean, I included a couple of letters from hospitals, one in New York and one in Providence, that they're just freaked out about this subject and are trying to raise an alarm to all who want to listen that this stuff is bad. I mean, really bad for our community. So again, I appreciate your time and always open any questions or collaborating with the town council or the contractors on trying to make a difference.
George, if this has been such an issue as you propose the hospitals and all that, why hasn't this been taken up at the state level?
Oh, that's a great question. The state level is, they're trying to do things statewide, right? I mean, they're trying to get all towns and cities to cooperate and collaborate, which is virtually impossible for anything, especially on this subject. We have tried to get state legislation in place for restrictions, and we did get a rebate program this year that was signed by the governor for $250,000, specifically for commercial landscapers to give them up to $3,000 in rebate money to buy electric leaf blowers. And that program right now is in existence at the state level. But what I take away from this, Mr. Texter, is that the state is deferring this to the local level for the benefit of the local level. It's only been done twice in 2 states, Colorado and California. And in this day and age, nothing's going to happen statewide. In fact, there are some states across the country who are doing the opposite. They're putting in laws that say that we will never ban these things, if you can imagine that. So it's pretty crazy out there. So the state has tried, but there's literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of small villages, towns, counties, and cities. Just last week, Alexandria, Virginia, voted to ban leaf blowers. The week before that, Acton, Massachusetts. You know, this is happening on a frequent basis, and I'm going to walk out of here tonight and not come back unless I'm invited. But I can guarantee you one thing: this is going to be picked up by a lot more people than me, and it's going to be amplified because it's such a toxic situation, and for those who want to, you know, consider this a first world problem, or it really doesn't rise to the level of, you know, I think you're going to find out that overwhelmingly the populace is going to come back to you. So.
Could I just ask you another last quick thing? And that is, I think that the educational part of it, like, you know, recommendations, like, you know, if you're a commercial landscaper, I think that's the business, that's the people that have talked the most about it. I don't think it's so much your residential person, but as their stuff like needs to be replaced, to replace it. And if you know of place of like, and maybe you're already doing this through that, the money that they have the state, like what brands can actually work as strongly as a gas powered? So the gas powered lasts longer. They don't have to have a million batteries with them if they're trying to work all day. Like what products are out there currently that they might consider looking at and to like sure they know about that, the rebate program. I think that's a good place to start, whether it's like you on your with your groups or like with any of our conservation commission or in any other community. I think that's a good place to begin because I really think like most people that I know for homes, they don't have gas powered, you know, but I think it's like, it's the commercial business and everybody, like very few people do their own lawns now. Everybody has somebody doing it. And do they know, like, you know, there was some talk at the state at one point, I mean, I've just heard this discussion take place over on like the radio, you know, where people are like, well, I don't want to go replace all my stuff.
Right.
But, you know, as it phases out or as you know, have to replace it, can I get something that's comparable in the, you know, battery operated world? And I think that is the question. I have no idea because that's not my area, but you may know the answer to that. And that may be something to talk, particularly to the smaller landscaping companies that are doing like yards and things like that.
It's going to be interesting to see when an all electric landscaper lands in Bristol. It's happening. It will happen soon. Just how quickly the other guys transition.
Oh, I'm sure they will
But
because
that,
if they see
again, that's
business.
the thrust that I'm taking with you know, with groups, even to do some self-funding, because it's clear that the you know, state of Rhode Island is on the fence about this issue, and that the only way to really move it forward is to have a business start doing this. And there are several businesses who are considering Rhode Island, and specifically Providence and the East Bay to get this thing going. So it's really interesting because you can delay, and you will not save a lot of money. But if you transition now, you will save a lot of money. You can save over $4,500 over 5 years just by transitioning your gas powered leaf blowers to electric. I mean, there's so much great testimonials out there about success that I want to tell the world about that because it's working, and businesses are thriving off of that. You know, we had one landscaper in DC, Enchanted Garden. She's been doing this for almost 10 years, and she said it was the best decision her business. She's been in business for 30 years. She said the best decision I ever made, and the testimonials from her workers were just incredible. They don't come home with headaches. You know, they're enthused about this. And she gave them the option. She said, you can take the gas powered leaf blower and do the cleanup, or you can take the electric. And in at first the landscapers were like, nah, we're never going to use this electric toy. But no one uses the gas powered leaf blowers, again, because they don't get sick. They don't have headaches. They don't have eyes. They don't ingest the PM 2.5, which there's no safe limit to that. And again, that doesn't stay in in my yard, if I use a gas powered leaf blower, it goes to your yard and her yard and it goes all over the town. So again, I do appreciate you letting me put this on the agenda. And if there's any questions I can answer, I'm more than happy to do that.
I think the initiatives has a lot of merit, and I really hope you continue to move forward. I think for me and Mary, I think you talked about as well, unless my colleagues, it's more or less we need to understand what stakeholders you consulted, and what I mean the stakeholders is the landscapers that are involved and how would it affect them economically, and also what would their transition plan or strategy be to move off those gas power, to know that their business would not be affected, and to know that because we get it, the health reasons, it's environmentally better, believe me, I'm like, oh my God, yes, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm like, we need to understand what are those steps in that strategy.
Sure.
So I hope you're, leaving here tonight saying, I just have to do a little bit more work. I have more groundwork to do, but it's possible to
Maybe
go
we
back.
could come back with a joint proposal, something like Mary said, and maybe do it that way. I will say this, the research out there is about 20% of a landscaper's revenue comes from leaf blowing. And the transition to a battery electric leaf blower doesn't mean that 20% evaporates. It's just temporary, and then it picks back up. So it won't sink company's business. It will be an inconvenience because habit is really tough to break. But there have been zero evidence anywhere in this country where a landscaper has gone backwards after they've gone to electric. So again, this is great stuff. I hope we can continue the conversation and get some landscapers involved as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other discussion from the council?
Just briefly, I mean, if we were to entertain anything like this as an ordinance, we got to think about enforcement. Who's going to enforce it? How will it be enforced? And that's something to think about. Are we going to tell the homeowners and landscapers, this is how you're going to operate going forward? I think the way to go is eventually to turn over, but for us to impose something like this, I don't think it's the proper thing to do to our small business, all business as a whole, as the landscapers, for enforcement. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
If you could state your name and address for the record, please. Thank you.
My name is Scott Pepper, 64 Duffield Road, and I wrestle at 138 pounds. 50 years ago.
Good for you, sir.
It was all over.
Just from me guessing weight, I'm not gonna, I'm not a professional, just.
Listen, this is my first meeting, first time meeting George, but I had conversed with him in email and said that, yeah, as a resident here, and I want to support him in this. And I think that's part of the conversation that's been missed is it's all about the landscapers. And I definitely no one who's with George on this wants to hurt anybody's business.
Right.
But at the same time, kind of in preparation for this, I've read the ordinance as it stands now on noise in this town. And all of us who go by Sip and Dip know that excessive motorcycle noise is, not tolerated. And I think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, is around 85 decibels. The commercial backpack grade gas powered leaf blowers are 102 to 110 decibels. It's loud. So I told George, well, all the health arguments, yeah, that's great stuff, but I'm really, as a resident, concerned with the noise. I walk every day. I'm retired, thank God. I walk every day for 5 to 10 miles around Colt State Park and up the bike path. And I hear mowers, I hear the blowers continuously some days. As one's fading out, another one begins. And I think it's grown so insidiously and slowly that we've lost sight of how quiet it used to be. 50 years ago, my first job was mowing grass for 2 apartment buildings. And there were no leaf blowers then in 1971. I think it got invented in 71. So it's not like this thing that's, been with us forever. It's 50 years old. And the other thing I want to mention is that these commercial concerns are operating in a residential neighborhood. And it's 10 months of the year and it's every day. And I have a big property. I've got a dozen trees. I can do it myself. We do hire landscapers once in a while to do special projects, and they do a great job, but we don't let them use the blowers because I wouldn't put that on my neighbors or myself. It's loud and it's obnoxious. And a lot of people work at home and a lot of people are retired and a lot of people have babies trying to get a nap. So I really think, so the big part of this that I really just want to sum up is that the community's input is really important. And I think I agree with George that it would be, I talk informally with people on the bike path, and I think 60 to 80% is probably about right, would back this. So it's not just the landscapers, it's the community and the decibel levels that are stated in the ordinance for noise. This is way over what is the legal limit in this town. It's way over. And I don't think it's as essential of a purpose as the exceptions like emergency vehicles, special occasions like fireworks, those kind of things. I don't think this is like, in other words, I think these guys should have to come to you and ask for an exception to break the noise rules in town. So if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Kendra Swartz. I'm at 64 Duffield, and I'm married to the lightweight over there. And I just want to back up a couple of things that were said. Well, first, I'd like to acknowledge that at the one of the comments at the beginning of this was, why hasn't this happened at the state level? And it's interesting because at the beginning of this meeting today, we were talking about zone ordinances that were at the state. We were bemoaning these zone ordinances. So I think it's really important to consider that that cities need to take control of this and prove to the state that we are capable of making decisions that are in the best interest of the health and well-being of our citizens. I, in particular, care about the wildlife. There are studies that show that obviously there's a major decline in pollinators. One of those declines is a result of leaf blowers that are just blowing the hell out of all of these little ecosystems that exist in individuals' properties and on their yards. The other day, after one of the rains, I was walking on the bike path and I walked by a property and there were two guys with leaf blowers standing in place, blowing wet leaves to dry them so that they could blow them to another location. And I just don't understand the logic behind this and the noise. About 30% of my walk every morning, which is about 5 miles, is consumed with this sound of leaf blowers. And I want to hear the birds and the breeze and the wind in the trees, and I don't want to hear this noise. And it's not just an annoyance, but it is a roar that stays with me for the rest of the morning. I work at home. I'm not lucky. I'm not retired like he is. And there are times where my windows are open and I have to close them during a Zoom meeting because of this droning sound. My hope is that you all would consider keeping this discussion open and giving us more time and more chance to bring other people into it. Like he said, I don't want to harm any small businesses. If anything, I think we should offer this opportunity for small businesses. People like us will embrace a small business that has the ecology in mind, that has the well-being of citizens in mind, that cares about its employees enough to make these changes that will help their health in the long run. Yeah. Any thoughts or questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion from the council? No? Okay. I'll just real quick I loved that you made some great points about that the full electric companies coming in would see a lot of business. I love that. To me, is the answer. Is that you'll speak with your dollars and you'll tell that landscaper that I want to use them. And if one does it, then two, and then five, and then 10. I'm more of a, I guess that would be a carrot versus a stick kind of feel to it. I don't want to say no. And I also believe my colleagues captured it well, is that you are one side of the conversation. There is the other side of it. They are no less valuable. They're also no more valuable. They are as valuable, and they have been part of the discussion. But I think that if you believe that and other people believe that, and I think you do, then I think that your money will speak, and you will get more and more landscapers that will use electricity to do it. And I think that's how that change happens, in my opinion. Any other discussion from the council? We have a motion and a second as stated.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I'm willing to modify that motion to, rather than deny, to receive and file.
Yeah, I think that's a better choice for this because of informational purposes.
All right, so you have amended your motion. Mary, you just seconded that?
Yeah, well, yes,
Chairman.
because I'd only seconded it.
Oh, we have
for the
another
other purpose,
speaker now.
for discussion.
He's a landscaper.
Yep, one moment, but you can certainly come up. So, so we had a motion and a second discussion. We just saw you.
I know. You can't get rid of me. Been here for 53 years, so not leaving anytime soon. And I'm a lifelong Bristol resident. I'm a landscaper in town. I'm a coach in town. I've coached at, middle school level wrestling, youth wrestling, high school wrestling, won a first state championship, all these things. And I love my town. I love to be beautiful as a landscaper. I went through some numbers with retrofitting just 2 blowers and what I had for, gas powered stuff comes up to $6,700. And these are things that are not commercial grade, like from a place that sells, just commercial goods, like a Lowe's, Home Depot, that kind of stuff. I do a lot of work for elderly people. So you have elderly people, fixed income. They're not people who, maybe somebody's retired, somebody's still working in the house, they're making money, they've planned for things properly, they have everything going. Some of these people, their husband just passed away. He was the breadwinner of their Social Security. Now it's difficult for them. I'd have to turn around and pass a lot of that to them. As far as blowing the hell out of leaves back and forth, I would tell anybody who works for me not to do that. And any responsible businessman should do the same. If you're running your business properly, you should be out there. You can run at half throttle, quarter throttle, just to move the stuff off the edges of the driveway. As a good businessman, I'm saving gas. I have a good image doing that. And right now, the things that we're finding locally, I don't know about California or a place like that, where maybe they have pushed this a lot more. But around here, I haven't found those alternatives. And to retrofit all these things and do all that stuff would be very expensive for us as businessmen. And I think we'd have to pass it on to our customers. There are many people now who are 2-income families. Mom and dad are away all day. They're paying for daycare. They're paying for everything else. They want to spend time with their family on the weekend. So they count on taking their money and paying us to do a hopefully proper job and responsible job. And go through with things and do it the way it should be done. We take that time, we do what we have to do, and we try to do it as cheap as possible because everybody wants to live. If this happens and I have to bring my prices up, now maybe it becomes something that they don't have the option. Now you're looking at a lawn that hasn't gotten cut but once a month because they don't have the time to enjoy it anymore. They're out with their family running around to sports. I know I have 3 children. Every one of my kids plays a sport. Every one of my kids are straight A students because you hold them accountable. I hold myself accountable as a businessman to try to run it responsibly. And that's the way that I'll continue to do this. If there's a way that somebody can tell me that they're going to give me a grant and give me $40,000, $50,000 worth of equipment, I'd look into it. I'd check it out. But as of right now, to pass that on to my customers with the way the economy's been over the past few years, it's a roller coaster up and down. I don't want to put any of my customers through that. So I hope that the town council will look at that too from somebody from the other side. I know they are very loud, but The other ones, they have a very whiny noise to them with the electric ones, the ones that I've witnessed. It's a more high pitch, not as much of a bass tone or bravado that it has, but it is what it is. You know, as of right now, I just don't see the technology here for us to have it work and turn over smoothly. And I'm speaking on behalf of plenty of other guys that I've grown up with in the town who also run landscaping businesses. So that's something I'd like you all to think about if you do revisit this. And hopefully I notice it in the paper and I get down here and get to talk to you about it and see if anything's changed on the other side of it too. I'd always be open to looking into new options if they are viable, reasonable.
So this council appreciates both sides. You both presented very well. Really.
I'll keep it a lot shorter though.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that for you guys.
Thank you.
'Cause I would like to get home and spend some time with my family.
Weirdly enough, me too. It's
Yeah, it's
strange.
a good thing. It's
Yeah.
fun to do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other discussion from the council? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Members of the council, the next item on the agenda is Bruce Goes, 82 King Philip Avenue. He's requesting a no parking box located across from his residence.
Based on the recommendation from the police department, I make a motion, we deny it.
Second. Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim, as stated. Any discussion? The petitioner is in here, correct? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can you just give a brief explanation as to the process that we go through now?
Of course I can. So what was petitioned in front of this council was a request, as you heard, for a no parking box across. If you guys could keep your voices down in the back, please. Thank you. So the petitioner petitioned the council for a no parking box across the street from his residence. So the police department, particularly the chief, put in place a system that they will drive 2 of the police vehicles down there, one standard sized SUV and then the large size SUV. They use the large size SUV to see if they can, we'll call it a 3-point turn, be able to get into the property and leave the property safely. They did that in this instance and in all instances over the last couple of years. And share that information with the council with a recommendation. In this instance, it was found that that it was not believed that a no parking box was necessary. And there's the video right here. We can watch that real quick. I always think it's going to hit, Chief. I don't mind telling you. I'm joking. Good stuff.
Riveting.
It is, but it's important and it's wonderful because we have a consistent way of looking at this. That particular street is very narrow. So that along with, but the due diligence was done and we did motion and I took that vote already, correct?
You did.
Yes.
But Mary, you just asked for some clarity on that, correct?
No, yeah, you already took the vote, but I just I didn't want people to think that we just denied it because the last couple of years we've come up with a process using the police cars. And so it makes it a lot more consistent than just a subjective, like, can somebody move out or can't they? And it was 2 very big vehicles. And so we know we have that on tape, on video. And we also have the explanation by the police department. So it's just more to it than it's just when
Well said.
that was on the record that there was more to it. That's all.
Well said. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda are appointments. G1, Zoning Board of Review, 1 2-year unexpired alternate term set to expire March 2027. And we have Timothy Palmer from 7 Church Cove Road. He's interested in appointment. And Mr. Chairman, just to give you a gentle reminder, Mr. Palmer,
Yeah, we interviewed him.
yes.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. We interviewed him for the rec board.
Correct.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
The last meeting.
That's right.
I don't know what this council thinks, but I found him, obviously, we didn't ask him questions zoning related, but his background along with his demeanor and the way he seemed to convey his thoughts, I think he would be a good addition to the zoning board.
It was above board.
I make a motion
Yeah.
that we appoint Tim Palmer to the zoning board.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary, as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I think he'll be appreciative. I know he was very enthusiastic. You
I
know,
agree.
Stepping forward.
Yes, he was.
I agree.
So,
Two things, those two men, like doing.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is G2, Bristol 250th Commission, amendment to the board composition to include up to 5 alternate members with terms to expire November 2027 and recommendations for interested commission members. And this is a continuation from the May 7th town council meeting.
Hi, Elaine.
Hi. So I don't know what, the only person that's missing from here, and I did submit her information, was Lisa Newcity, who owns Fenwick and Oliver as an alternate. And for some reason, her name didn't make it to this, but I know that Melissa received the info because I got a confirmation of that.
We can add her in,
Yeah, I think it was a
right?
couple weeks ago I sent it.
So to remind everybody, we had talked about this at the last council meeting on Elaine's request, that additional people were necessary for the 250 commission. We'll say people because of quorum issues and attendance, not because they don't want to be part of it. It's just other life got in the way and it's made it challenging to get things done. So we had asked for up to 5, if I recall correctly, and
Yeah.
I am more than happy to add that fourth. Would you state her name again for the record, please?
Lisa Newcity, Newcity. And I don't have her address, but I'm sure it's on record. Melissa probably has it in her.
Check with
Yeah,
the clerk.
and she owns Fenwick and Oliver down on Thames Street, so she's a
So
business
hopefully
owner.
there isn't 2 people who own Fenwick and Oliver named Lisa. I think we're,
I
yeah,
don't
we
think
should,
there
no,
will be,
good,
yeah.
beautiful. All right. So
But we're excited because Sarah Griffin's on here too, and she's the librarian who runs the youth department
Yep.
at Rogers, so we're really excited about that. And Paul Villaro, who's, I'm sure you all know, and he's pretty excited about it. And Craig has already done a deep dive into things, so.
just need a motion to add them.
well, so is this
To
a
appoint them
two-part?
to-
Do we,
It is.
the resolution, amend the resolution first?
Yeah.
And then make the appointments, vote in the appointments?
We could probably do one motion.
Can I just ask one?
There you
One
go.
motion
Can I
work?
just ask one question?
Of course.
It says the terms expire November 27, but I thought that this was done in 26. So I'm not, as much as I love.
There's a lot of reporting that we're expecting
Yeah,
for another
okay.
year. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know that January 1st, 2027, I won't be here anymore asking for anything for the 250 commission. So,
We'll give you clarity on that.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So go ahead. Tom.
So I make a motion that we amend the resolution and also make the appointments as recommended by the chair.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, so I'm sorry, let me say that again. We had a motion from Tony, seconded by Mary, as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Go get them, Elaine.
All right, thank you.
Oh, this is where I say thank you, Elaine, to you and to everybody else. We have some board and commission members here this evening that have been here, and then we also have a lot of board and commission members. They give time. It's 9 o'clock. You've been here for 2 hours to be part of things, and this is just tonight on our meeting. Never mind all that you give back, and it goes understated. Even though I say it for this council every single meeting, thank you, because Bristol is what it is and what it's going to be because of all that you give back. And this council says thank you. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I1, Harbor Master Marcelli, recommending Bristol Marina fuel dock pricing policy changes and recommendation for the Bristol resident discount rate.
Greg.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I never wrestled. Didn't have a weight class.
Yes, you have to tell us the weight. No, I'm kidding.
97 pounds. My left leg. So we're into the 4th year now of running the Marina fuel station. We're just looking to change some stuff down there. One, being able to be more competitive with other local fueling stations. We had set a cap way back when of $1. Sometimes we're well under that of other local marina fuel stations throughout the area. So we're looking just to have that lifted and say we could just be competitive with everybody else. And allow me to use my best judgment to set the fuel prices.
So I'm total agreement on that, as we talked about at a recent meeting. But what the proposal from you and also the Harbor Commission was changing it from a percentage to a static, a set discount for residents.
There's two things we're trying to do.
Okay, all right.
The other one is exactly that. We did with a 5% discount. Looking into it now and being well versed in the way fuel runs, nobody does that. We were looking at 5 cents, talking to other people that are professionals, more professional than I am at this. I know we also discussed a 10 cents a gallon discount for Bristol residents only. But either way, it's better than what we're currently doing with the 5%.
Excellent. Okay. So you are looking for this council to support that amended fuel dock pricing policy, correct?
Yes, I am.
Council?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And thank you to the Harbor Commission for your hard work on that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Don't
Harbor Master, please stay there.
I'm saying.
The next item on the agenda is Harbor Master Marcelli, recommended changes to mooring, docking, and related harbor fees.
Good evening again. This was Harbor Night. That's what Melissa had told me.
Yes, it is.
So we haven't had a rate change down to docks in a few years now. We're looking to move forward with a rate change next year, 2025 or 2026 boating season. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out how the best way to do this and without affecting everybody with the same rate. The current policy has always been $65 a foot, no matter what size boat you had. But what we're learning is the boats that are bigger, they're running air conditions, they have refrigerators plugged in, and they're running water all the time. And that's not fair for the guy that owns the 16-foot boat. So what we did this year, came up with, and the Harbor Commission agreed with us on, was going by 40-foot slip. We would raise that to $80 a foot. Set 30-foot slips, $75, and then 24-foot and smaller, we bring up to $70. And that'll take care of our budget deficit that we have going on right now with our utilities, our power, and our water.
So Greg, let me just take a second there. So everything that you just captured, so the current rate's 65.
Current rate
So
is 65.
The proposed rate is 80.
Yes.
And that's a 40-foot plus slip.
Yeah.
And then 65 and 75 is the 30-foot
30-foot.
slip. So it's 65 right now, proposed 75, and then 24 and smaller is currently 65, proposed 70, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Please.
And then minor adjustments throughout everything else. We're looking at creating a non-resident fee for our kayak racks. And the other thing would be for our transient boaters, and we do collect payment on transient boaters. Looking at it now, everybody in the marina business has gone to a 50 cent an amp. So a 30 amp pedestal would cost you $15 a night. We're currently at $10 a night, and so looking at the rest of the marinas out there, that's what they're doing. So we're just trying to follow suit and make sure we're collecting enough money for our visiting boaters as well.
And I see some differences with mooring rates. Currently 125 for up to a 30-foot, proposed 135.
Yes.
Most of the rest of the adjustments are quite minimal, $10, with a couple of exceptions. Non-resident commercial, right? 550 is the current, 600 proposed.
Yes.
These all seem very, and we've had this discussion many times, even at these proposed increases, we are still well below market rate.
Well below market rate.
Okay.
We keep making it better down there, and as we make it better, it costs more money, and we're trying to keep the people that are using it paying for it, not the rest of the Bristol.
Council, questions?
And Greg, our financial impact by these changes would be, it would be obviously positive, right? I mean, it would definitely bring us out of the deficit that you did mention earlier. We had a little bit of a deficit.
We're in a little deficit this year with the utility payments or
Okay.
utilities, electric and water. So seeing that now, and we also have to look at is last year was the first full year we were open with all the electric. Even though we've been open, this is our 4th year, we were on, first year we had minimal power. Last year, and then the next year we had some more, and then eventually we got up to the full capacity. And now we see what we're drawing down there for power. We just need to make the adjustments accordingly. And we know which boats are drawing the power.
Yeah.
You do. That was very clear. Thank you.
Skip.
You seem reasonable.
But,
I mean,
and
Yeah,
and
it's
we-
very reasonable. Oh, Greg, I was just
Yeah,
that. No,
But
no,
we
you don't
did
have to
meet with all the user groups. We brought commercial fishermen in, we brought in recreational boaters, commercial marine businesses, and they all kind of agreed to that. You
Yeah.
know, so it
And
wasn't like it was.
that was
a
at the commission meetings and stuff like that.
commission meeting, and we had a separate meeting in last December.
And there was that alignment between you and the commission I saw
Yeah.
and pretty much everything. So it's hard to second guess
Yeah.
anything that's
Mhm.
reasonable that's put before
Yeah.
us, you know?
Yeah, no, this is very
Yeah.
reasonable.
So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt the resolution. This fee structure appears to be going to keep us competitive, keeps our stronger value, it increases our rates, but also provides our residents with the services that they deserve down at the marina. So I think this is a very good step forward to make sure that we're financially sound.
Second. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, as stated. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Greg. Thank you,
Thank
Harbor
you.
Commission.
Thank
They
you.
have one more thing, right?
Oh, there's more harbor stuff.
Yeah, not for Greg, though.
No. He's passing it on.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I3, Stephen Genario, Chairman of the Bristol Harbor Commission, in regards to consideration to grant permission to the Harbor Commission to solicit state and federal authorization for the viability of a breakwater for Bristol Harbor.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Steve.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you
Yes.
for being patient.
No problem.
Floor is yours.
Yeah, so basically, pretty much what you said, we're looking for the council's blessing to let the Harbor Commission go out and solicit state and federal authorities to see the viability to construct a breakwater in Bristol Harbor. Reason being, over the last 10, 20 years, there's been quite a lot of investment in the harbor, on the harbor. Our own marina being one of them. I think it's probably $6 million we spent. You have Stone Harbor Marina, you have a multitude of restaurants and shops and businesses. Given the activity of storms that have been happening, I think it'd be a good idea if we can see if it's a viable option. I know it's a big undertaking, so we'd like to look at it, see if that is possible. And I think if it is, it would be a great asset to the harbor to
Steve-
protect what's in the harbor now.
Could you take a moment and explain to everyone what a breakwater is and where generally being proposed that it might go?
Yeah, absolutely. So this plan goes back to 1980. This was came up to the town. It actually was drawn out, and there were several plans, and the one that was favored was, I believe it was Plan C. And it goes right off if you can picture the Coast Guard dock. Oops, sorry about that. So it goes off the Coast Guard dock, and it's probably like 1,000 feet or maybe 1,200 feet, and it kind of does almost like a dog leg.
Okay.
And it's basically to capture and protect the downtown area against obviously hurricanes or high wind storms. And I think it's a great idea. I think given that if we do have a Category 1 or Category 2 hurricane, hopefully we don't. I think something like this could really help mitigate a lot of damage in our harbor, given all the assets that are built there now. And even on anybody that enjoys Bristol and the waterfront, or Narragansett Bay. Anytime you get a wind that's 20, 25 miles an hour, it gets pretty rough. And that would actually create a real safe harbor. And it would slow down the waves, and I think it would be a great asset. Now, I've looked into this. We've been looking into this for the past couple of years. We have to meet with the Army Corps of Engineers. I mean, there's going to be a big undertaking. It's going to be a big cost, but I think it's worth looking into to see if there's federal or state monies that could help us pay for this. We did create a little subcommittee to try to move forward with this if you give us our blessing. I have Skip Castro here that is the head of that subcommittee. I don't know if you want to come up and add any more information to this.
I just had a question
Sure.
on,
Yeah, absolutely.
in regards to what you think cost would be, and then number two, an environmental impact to the harbor itself, as far as the harbor has a natural tide and it flushes out, in and out. Would that
It's a
have
great
any
question.
effect on
Yeah,
that?
so cost, basically is going to start off with, you have to get a study to see if it's viable. If it's viable, then you can move to an actual, see if you can construct it. All those things, everybody's got the Army Corps of Engineers, CRMC, all those questions you just asked.
Okay.
Water flow, environmental, all that has to be built into this. And
Sure.
that's all going to come into this whole equation
Got
to the viability of it. I don't know if Skip wants to add anything to this. He's been helping me with.
There's a cost to that.
There's a cost.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, everybody.
I think-
So the
Welcome.
subcommittee that we've kind of developed, we have a couple of engineers retired, but their backgrounds, they are specialists in these type of, construction activities. And we have members of the advisory committee as well on it. So I think we have a diverse crew that will go answer some of your questions, Tim, as well as the council. I know has many questions, but the 1980 report, it's about 66 pages long. And it answered a lot of the harbor flow issues. How does that affect the shellfishing grounds? And there was 4 or 5 different options of containment. But I think, that's 43 years ago, 45 years ago now. There's new technology out there. There's better systems that we maybe could put in place. One of the options back in 1980 was a granite wall, right? Probably the most expensive thing we could do. There are technologies available now that would help us or would allow us to do something of a floating nature, right? Less permanent, but still effective. So those are the things we're going to go look at. We'll report back to you and let you know what we're finding out, and then make a recommendation, and we'll see what the next steps are. But this is really, as Steve has stated earlier, is just, hey, let's go out and see what's out there from a funding perspective, who's going to be on our side, and is it practical? Is this something we really want to do? Steve mentioned the Thames Street area, as well as, the infrastructure that we've put in. The town has graciously provided for us, the marina. But let's not forget the other side, Papa Squash, right? We have the Bristol Marine, we have the Yacht Club. All that could be protected as well. So I think it's definitely worth pursuing, and we hope that we have your support.
No, I concur. I think it's worthwhile, the exploration, explore and see what the possibilities are and, cost as well. And then come back. No, we certainly appreciate, your efforts.
So we're talking about the possibility, you're just coming back, putting some information together, and then you'll ask us to, at some point, fund a study based on the information that you're putting together, right? Is that
That's correct.
okay, I
This is
just
like
wanted to
the
make sure.
The initial step.
Is it like a feasibility study? Is that what we would call it, or?
I don't think that they know, and I don't mean that you're not informed. I mean, is that I think they're going out and looking to see, the possibility of grants.
Right.
And then also there are, the town went, and both of you are very, very aware of this, the immense amount of approvals necessary to put a floating dock in, never mind make something permanent. So there's a lot of steps to this, and I don't think that we know what would be necessary in the next one. I can see the administrator wanted to share something. I got to tell you, there are so many opportunities out there. late 1600s, New York Harbor was pretty much an oyster wall, and tremendous way and very resilient too. And it would break water, right? That's what it did. So tremendous stuff. So, and that's just one of 1,000 different things that you guys have probably already looked at. Mr. Administrator?
I just wanted to say on a positive note, so the council hears it, that both Steve and Skip are very helpful with the Harbor Commission, and I know planning would be happy to help them. So if you need help from planning, community development, I'm sure they'd be happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've met with Diane and Mr. Tanner, maybe right before Christmas, right? So I think, Aaron, they kind of answer your question, is it's a feasibility study, but I think it's also exploratory.
Yeah, so
At this
it's at a later point that we might be committing money
Yes,
to it, not
not
at
today.
any point or any, yeah.
We're not walking yet, we're still in the crawl space.
Okay, awesome.
So, Mr. Chairman, as far as a motion, do we make a motion to move forward and refer this to planning and to?
I think we can support their efforts.
Support.
We can make an official vote to support their efforts and include, and you've heard some of the dialogue already and the administrators offered kindly. Diane, I've got a lot of work ahead of you. No, she's going to be part of the solution. Yeah, see that part of the solution, but that's what I would say.
I'll
Support the
second that.
efforts.
Support the efforts. That's a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Yes,
good luck.
and thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I4, our bond council Rhode resurfacing and drainage improvements borrowing resolution. Authorizing the town of Bristol pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 45-12-2 to borrow up to $2,800,000 through the insurance of bonds and bond anticipation notes to fund the design, engineering, and construction of road resurfacing and drainage improvements in the town of Bristol.
Hi, Sandy.
Hello.
Hello.
This is another program that is through Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. This program, like the others you've approved in the past, allows for a 1/3 interest rate subsidy. So whatever the market rate is, you would be borrowing at 2/3 of that market rate. It's $2.8 million. It's over a 20-year period. It's for reclamation and resurfacing. And I actually looked up those definitions to see what the difference is. One is to churn and mill, going down, lasts a lot longer, and resurfacing is just adding more asphalt. So hopefully we're doing the first as well as the drainage as well. It's 10 roads. For people that are interested, the 10 roads are.
You don't have to. That's
Don't have
okay.
to?
No.
You're great. And cost of issuance. Remember also with this program, you don't have to actually borrow the money until you actually need it. So your interest rate is only on the amount that you borrow. And
Outstanding.
with that, I'd ask you to approve the borrowing resolution that's before you.
Motion to approve the resolution authorization of the town of Bristol to borrow up to $2,800,000 for road resurfacing and drainage improvements.
Second. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is bid number 1065, Rogers Free Library Interior Modification Project. And that was received at meeting. You have the tabulations. The first vendor was Collins Construction Company Incorporated. And their total was $2,400,456. The next vendor is Bentley Companies, $1,993,834. They also had 3 alternates. Alternate 1 was $1,500. Alternate 2 was 130,000, and alternate 3 was 2,500. The next vendor was Coletta Contracting Company, $2,121,700. Their alternate 1 was 1,750. Alternate 2 was 39,000, and alternate 3 was 1,500. Marin Construction Company Incorporated, $2,448,579. Alternate 1 was 8,484. Alternate 2, 17,438. Alternate 3 was 8,484. It's a two-pager.
Mill City.
And the last was Mill City Construction, $2,299,906. Alternate 1 was 2,366. Alternate 2 was 56,685. And alternate 3 was 5,210.
Council?
I wonder what's missing on the first one. There's no alternates there, compared to everybody else does have alternates
They chose not to
to include.
provide it.
Right. Well, I make a motion that we refer this to the town administrator to act in the best interest of the town. In the library, I don't know. Yes, and work with the library director as well.
Second. Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim, as stated. Any discussion?
Just for discussion, so this was the Community Learning Center grant, so this isn't locally funded. Just in
Okay.
case anyone's wondering where the money was coming from.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is bid number 1066, Information Technology and Consulting Service. Had a number of people on this as well. The first is Uplink IT, and there were a couple of different categories. The first was Critical System Management and Monitoring. For the first year, $109,393.08. For the subsequent years, it would be $105,928.08. And for their data and security management would be $9,888.77.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Do you have a question?
No, he
okay.
was just noticing how different the
Yes.
next bid is from the first. That's all.
They're all different.
Yes.
Consult Ad Public Services. Their critical systems management and monitoring is $30,000 annually, and data and security management is $28,000. Next is Soft Sages Technology. Their critical systems management and monitoring is $30,000, and their data and security management is $54,600. They also have an onboarding cost of $5,000. Next is Freedom Tech Incorporated. They came back with $26,780 as a monthly retainer, and their annual is $321,360, and that's annually. Next is Software of America. Their critical systems management and monitoring is $50,000, and their data and security management is $31,250. Creative Global Consulting, their critical systems management and monitoring came back as $182,400. And their data and security management was $176,640. I mean, yeah, $648.
The glaring differences in these numbers is just, it's tremendous. We go from $109,000 for the first year, $9,800 annually, to $30,000 annually. That's crazy.
And Freedom Tech at 26 monthly comes out to 321,360 annually. How's that?
You wonder how they all read the same specs and come up with these.
Well, I guess
It's always
we'll,
like this, it's always like.
we'll
this.
refer to the,
Widespread.
Go
we'll
ahead.
refer to the town administrator and our IT support team, okay, to act in the best interest of the town.
Second. Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim, as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item is J3, bid number 1067 for school bus transportation services. We only have one for this one. It's first student, and for the summer program, it's $325 per bus, and for trips, it's $500 a trip.
That's pretty reasonable, you know. So I make a motion to refer to the town administrator and the director of recreation, Parks and Rec, to act in the best interest of the town.
Second. Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim, as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is K1, Bristol County Border Authority Tri-Town Monthly Report, April 2025.
Motion to receive and file?
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Before we go into the executive session piece there, I see that we have some communication here from the Oyster Fest petition.
Sounds like they're
Yes.
not gonna happen.
That was just a memo from our office, just letting you know and letting all the people who put in the recommendations that it's not going to happen this year. So,
It's not happening.
right, so they
Okay.
withdrew their petition.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Motion would be to convene into executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 4246-585, discussion relative to the lease of real property.
This council will now be going into executive session. We will finish the meeting in public, but the video feed will go off after here. Can we have a motion to the solicitor's effect?
So move.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good night, everyone.